I'm an associate professor in molecular biology biochemistry at Simon Fraser University, who has formed a niche using both computer-based and laboratory approaches. I'm really interested in how to develop new drugs that can better control infectious diseases that will not lead to antibiotic resistance.
Dr. Fiona Brinkman is a young scientist who has attracted global recognition for her research. She's won numerous awards, and in 2002 was selected by MIT as one of the world's top 100 young innovators.
A lot of these awards I won for innovation reflect actually the fact that I really like gathering ideas from different fields and bringing them together, marrying both computer-based and lab-based approaches together and coming up with new approaches.
Brinkman's innovation in battling infectious diseases was inspired by an unusual source.
My husband and I play a lot of computer games, and I got frustrated with him winning all the time. And so I said, I'm going to read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, a great military strategist, to learn more about how I could combat my husband at computer games. What I realized when I was reading it is I should also be reading it in the context of pathogens that I study. Sun Tzu says, and the worst policy is to attack cities. This is a real concern for me because when you take a broad-spectrum antibiotic, what you're doing is killing both the good bacteria and bad bacteria in your body, basically wiping out the population. In this kind of scenario, it's very easy for a resistance movement to develop. All you have to do is have one bacteria survive an antibiotic, and then all of a sudden they can flourish in that environment with not very many other bacteria around to compete with.
Although Brinkman recognizes that in cases of serious disease, broad-spectrum antibiotics are necessary, she believes that the battle against bad bacteria can be best fought by following more advice from The Art of War.
What Sun Tzu says is to seize the enemy without fighting. What I interpret that to mean is that we really should be trying to stop the pathogen in the first place from gaining a foothold in our bodies. So I've become very interested in the approach of boosting our innate immune system, which is the immune system that is first activated when a bacteria comes into our body. It's basically our first line of defense. If we could boost that first line of defense, stop the bacteria from coming in the first place, we won't even start a fight.
But if you can't stop the onset of fighting, Sun Tzu suggests attacking the enemy's strategy.
I interpret that to mean attacking virulence factors or genes involved in causing disease, basically trying to disarm the bacteria. My lab is most interested in identifying cell surface and secreted proteins in bacteria. These are the proteins that are most accessible to drugs. We can take the thousands of proteins in bacteria, find out which ones are cell surface and secreted proteins through a very accurate method we've developed called P-sort-B, which is the world's most precise method developed to date. Then what we can do is take those proteins and identify small molecules or drugs that might interact with those proteins and neutralize those proteins so that the bacteria hopefully will either be inactivated in some way in the traditional way or preferably disarmed so they can still live but not cause infection.
Brinkman has allies in her war against infectious diseases. She's collaborating with researchers like Brett Finley and Bob Hancock from the University of British Columbia. Their comprehensive research project will advance understanding of immune responses in humans and animals.
We developed InnateDB, the world's first innate immunity database, that is a comprehensive collection of proteins and protein interactions and pathways involved in innate immunity. And then what we're going to do is literally mine this data, identifying these key nodes in the innate immune system that could be manipulated to boost our innate immune system.
She's also co-leading a team of experts that are analyzing two pathogens. The Bioinformatics for Combating Infectious Diseases project will not only generate a list of potential new drug targets, it may provide fundamental insights into the evolution of pathogens.
We're doing this work as part of a larger group of researchers from computer scientists, biologists, chemists, physicists, researchers in medicine, led by Cenk Seinalp and myself. This project aims to develop new computer-based approaches to identifying anti-infective drugs and also antimicrobial drugs that would potentially kill the bacteria, because those drugs are still very valuable. Antibiotic resistance is really on the rise and is a growing concern. Within 10 years of any new antibiotic being developed, we end up having resistance to that drug. One thing I really like is the methods we develop have a really broad applicability. We can actually not just target infectious diseases involved in humans, but we can also target infectious diseases involved in crop production, for example, maintaining the health of our forests. I'm doing this research really not just for my generation, but for my children and grandchildren who are really going to feel the impact of growing antibiotic resistance problem. It's my hope that through these methods we're developing, we can really come up with some genuinely new approaches that are successful in gaining the upper hand against infectious diseases.